listening to the most electrifying show in media, A Neighbor's Choice. I'm your host, your neighbor, David Gornoski. So glad to be with you live for our second hour of our transmission on FM and AM and our website on neighborschoice.com. If you're listening in the radio, make sure you set it to this station for your go-to drive time news and comment. We bring world-class thinkers from all spaces related to your interests, whether it's economic, foreign policy, and safety and security matters, whether it's nutrition. We'll get into that with our update from our friend Tucker Goodrich, who is pioneering groundbreaking understandings of what's going on with the lies of the nutrition food pyramid, and particularly seed oils driving so much of the diseases that are underlying our health problems today. And joining me now to turn to a look at foreign policy is geopolitical analyst in the Tampa Bay area, Sir Owen. How are you, sir?
Wonderful, David. It's great to be with you today. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I wanted to start off with a few stories that I thought, would be of interest to talk about. ResponsibleStatecraft.org has a story, Washington huffs and puffs, but its adversaries aren't shaking. North Korea is responding to U.S. demonstrations of strength with their own, and it could get dangerous. This is by Doug Bandow, but it does bring up a point that you see this active stuff going on. North Korea firing off missiles over Japan in the Hokkaido area, and that stopped with Trump, and they always wanted to make Trump look like any moment nuclear war could break out. But his tactics actually were putting some measure of stability in relationship to at least North Korea and Russia and Syria, in which there had always been a very hawkish, reckless aggression. Now, he was, I think, wrong on Iran. But in the matters of these North Korea, Russia, Syria conflict zones, I think he was doing a lot to reduce the probability of reckless wars and carnage in the result. So what do you think of this story? Anything that folks could ruminate about?
Well, I think it's basically what you're seeing now is this alliance, this NATO alliance, is becoming very, very troubling to people who aren't in it, especially North Korea, where it's beyond reason why we have not signed a peace treaty with North Korea after the Korean War, and why we've really not let South Korea sign a peace treaty with North Korea since the Korean War. I mean, that is definitely a dead hand on the throttle. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. I think the two Koreas could get themselves back together, perhaps not with this administration now that's in South Korea, the current. But what happened with Trump was a classic, as heavy-handed as Trump could be. He actually was very personable one-on-one, and he actually talked to Kim Jong-un. And basically, Kim reacted, and I think that accounted for the many rapprochement that occurred during the Trump administration. Was simply that the administration, despite all of the blobs screaming and yelling, actually Trump reached out to try to talk to him, same way that Nixon did with China during his administration. If you remember, that had been an intractable relationship for years, and then Nixon took the plunge and went in and had a little discussion, and next thing you know, we're in business with China. But I think that what you see there is the power of one-on-one diplomacy, which is totally missing and has been missing since Trump. With this Biden administration, I don't think they're capable of it. I don't know what their problem is. I don't know if Biden is so controlled by his controllers that he is ineffective, but you just do not see any diplomacy. It's all stick with this particular administration. That's my take on it. Long story short, And of course, North Korea just continues to try to prepare for its self-defense, as any country does have the obligation to do.
Yeah, what is North Korea's position or in their general stance in regard to some of the things that's been made by the Biden administration, where he's now explicitly said, yeah, he would respond to an invasion of Taiwan by China, which has never been said before in explicit terms like that, I believe.
Well, I don't know exactly what North Korea's position would be on that, because North Korea and China have a love-hate sort of relationship. But right now, China, they have a common border. There is commerce between them. They also have a common border with Russia. There's commerce between them. I would think that particular area is an area that China, Russia, and North Korea could quite readily, if they chose to, see a common interest and a common agenda. That basically, you have this wonderful. You have in North Korea, by the way, has proven. It has developed quite a technological ability with these missiles. And also with with their nuclear program. So you have very effective missiles. You have very, very effective, apparently, at least you have a nuclear program. And basically, if there's one message that's coming out of this whole thing, even from the Ukraine, it's if you have a nuclear weapon, people are going to walk a lot easier around you. If it wasn't, it's a horrible thing to say, but in this instance, at least so far, the proliferation or the ownership of nuclear missiles have tended to keep Washington-led NATO in check, and they are keeping everyone at arm's distance. Unless someone makes a mistake, I don't see a active first strike of either side against the other. So North Korea watches this, and it's learned that. Then you have the nuclear scofflaw, the other one, Israel, which has developed Jimmy Carter said they had more than 100 warheads, the former president of the United States, so that's a pretty good source, I would think. And then you have Pakistan with nuclear weapons. Everyone walks rather easy. And you have India with nuclear weapons. That India and Pakistan have their problems, but yet, because each of them have nuclear weapons, it keeps them. And of course, India, far population-wise, surpasses and dominates Pakistan. But if there is one, the harder that the United States pushes, and the more aggressive its janissaries and NATO become, the more North Korea and these small states are going to want to have a nuclear capability. The same way with Iran. Although Iran says it religiously, it does not want to develop, because of religious reasons, nuclear weapons. But it just seems to me that from a pragmatic point of view, that you absolutely would be not living up to your responsibility to your people to not have some weaponry that could be used defensively, as long as everyone else has it. In a perfect world, nobody should have these weapons. These weapons can end life as we know it. And the day that the first one is shot off, it's going to be a very sad day for all of us.
Right. Yeah, it is. Talk about nuclear technology. Greta Thunberg reverses course on nuclear power, argues Germany is making a mistake by taking plants offline. That's from Yahoo, the headline. So Greta has spoken. She runs that country, I guess, and she has spoken as an oracle in the mountains, and she says, I personally think it's a very bad idea to focus on coal when nuclear power is already in place. How dare you? I just added that part, but I'm sure she did say that.
Yeah, I know.
In a scolding tone
I mean,
from the Oracle.
She is quite a phenomenon. If you were to read a book of fiction with a character like Greta in it, you just would laugh, and I mean, it would be something like Kurt Vonnegut would write or something. But it would just, I mean, and to believe that the industrial world is following her edicts, or she's being obviously used for agendas that are much beyond hers and not quite so clearly seen. The whole thing is they've just committed social suicide in the EU over the global warming thing. And this is a good thing. You know, right now we're talking, we had a hurricane here in Florida, and it shut off power for a number of the communities and everything. And the one thing that comes through very clearly when that occurs is that you shut off energy and you shut off power to our society, and you're about 9 meals away from anarchy. I mean, you really are. We really have, our society is dependent on energy, and to start ideologically, I don't care what the purpose. I mean, we've got to live right now. I mean, if there's a problem out in the next 300 years or the next 1,000 years, well, that's unfortunate. But the people who are alive now need to be concerned about living now, and to voluntarily cut off your power. I mean, to go to Germany, and Germany and the Greens have lost their mind, and they're going to solar power and to wind power. Well, the sun doesn't shine that much in Germany, if you've ever visited Germany. and the wind is very undependable, and that was going on before they started shutting all this stuff down, before they shut down their coal-fired power generation of capability, before they cut down the nuclear thing. And here's this little voice, the John the Baptist, I suppose, of environmentalism, Ms. Thunberg, who the world listens to. I thought that Putin made an interesting comment about it. They asked about it. He says, well, she certainly does believe what she says. And that's it. That's all he said. But
well,
it was
I mean,
kind of a tongue-in-cheek sort of comment.
I don't know who she speaks for, because she said, here's a quote, she talks about nuclear power in 2019, saying it can be a small part of a very big new carbon-free energy solution. So she says, even though it's extremely dangerous, expensive, and time-consuming, so she wants full-scale renewable energy. So she's not interested in telling the truth about a lot of the safe forms of nuclear power technology that are available right now. So she's not serious about saving the planet. She's representing some kind of industrial interest that likes the millions of people who have bought into this narrative, just like, the narrative we just found out with this vaccine, Pfizer's executive coming out saying, oh yeah, we didn't have any evidence that it could stop or prevent COVID. The same narrative kind of thing has happened with this for many years. It's been a slower build, so it's a little bit deeper in some sense for ignorant people to believe in. But this idea that if we're in this apocalyptic place, that we have to destroy all these forms of energy, then she's saying, well, I guess we can keep nuclear power a little bit more than coal. But in the grand scheme of things, she's saying it's dangerous and it's expensive, it's time-consuming, and it shouldn't have any major play in the future of energy. It sounds like she represents specific industrial interests that don't like nuclear technology as part of the mix.
Well, the whole global warming thing, it basically gets back to some very bright people have just figured out how they're going to make zillions of dollars on carbon trading and that sort of thing, and they've got it's like any product you sell. You hype the fear, then you propose some sort of solution, and then you ask for funding. I mean, that's what the government does every day to you. You find a problem and you hype the fear, and then you go out and ask for funding, and that's basically what you have going on here. But apparently the fix is in, because the global warming thing has absolutely caused major rational nations, I say rational in parentheses there, to commit suicide. Look, just watch it. This winter is going to be a real epic winter for the EU, and I think it'll come apart. I think you'll see governments fall. I think of their own volition. Well, it's even worse in Greta. They have cut off their own power from Russia. I mean, it is absolutely, and now they don't have an option. Well, they might have a little bit of an option, because I'm reading now today that one of the lines that were supposedly blown up this last week is actually functional, not hurt. And that one of the other lines that was, I'm not sure if it's Nord Stream 2 or Nord 1, it wasn't blown up, it was punctured. So they're saying that there might still be an option that Germany can say, well, let's go ahead and turn on the line. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know for sure if that's truthful, but it came from very good Pepe Escobar in the Asia Times, who was writing about this, and he has been a very dependable source of information, one of the many we look at. And if that's true, then Germany still has an escape route, perhaps, if they can come to some rapprochement with Russia. But you cannot, ideologically, to commit suicide because you're afraid you're going to die is stupid. I mean, because you're afraid you're going to die, you go out and commit suicide. That's exactly what the European Union has done in this instance with the Russian thing. I mean, when you get down to it, who cares about Ukraine? I mean, really? I mean, why do they care? What's the issue here? I mean, it's a local squabble without all this involvement of NATO and all of this political gaming that's going on. I mean, who really cares about it? And in America, especially, I mean, I've asked my friends, show me on the map where Ukraine, haven't a clue. Don't know if that. I said, you know any Ukrainians? Nope. I said, but you really feel strongly about this situation, right? Yep. Okay. Where do you get your information? Well, from, 2 minutes on the television and 10 minutes or 15 minutes in the morning and then 10 minutes at night, again, from the television, all one media, getting completely propagandized from the media, which has become a propaganda voice for the government. I mean, they go to them and they go to briefings with the government officials and they tell them what to say and they say it. And it's been that way for a number of years. But, I mean, as far as this situation in the Ukraine goes, I mean, the Germans are going to get real tired of it here in the next 90 days, I assure you. And the Austrians. And, and also it's going to be very interesting because Poland has, hours after the Nord Stream pipelines are blown up, I mean, hours, literally hours, like less than 24 hours. Poland's Norway pipeline, the pipeline from Norway to Poland came online. So Poland's in good shape. And Poland and Germany have always been, since the Second World War and before, a little edgy in their relationship. So right now it looks like Poland is up and Germany's down. So this is going to be very interesting. I think the EU is going to stress and strains of what's going on right now is going to pull the EU apart. If not immediately, certainly over the next 24 months, maybe 12 months. And the economic conditions throughout the whole of Europe of inflation, I mean, the closing of businesses, it's going to fuel more domestic unrest and diminish enthusiasm for keeping this Ukraine thing afloat. So we go back around in a circle there. So,
yeah, I was looking at this story from Sonar 21. Larry Johnson, the former CIA official, he talks about how there is no single war in Ukraine and NATO is in trouble. And he points out the nightmare scenario for Ukraine and NATO of Russia invoking its collective security treaty organization and asking Belarus to join the fray. Russian and Belarusian troops are already gathering on Ukraine's northern border. He said whether this is a bluff or genuine preparation for opening a new front in the north, the massing of forces requires Ukraine to deploy already depleted forces to the northern border. This will weaken Ukraine's ability to hold off a Russian offensive. in the other regions where they're battling. So that could be a very dangerous situation if that occurs, especially in the winter, where Colonel McGregor is predicting things are going to heat up.
Well, or cool down, as the case may go, because the minute that ground freezes up, then the trucks can roll. Of course, they can roll now, but they roll a lot easier on frozen ground, these big, heavy military things, and tanks and everything else. Larry is an excellent source. I have followed him for some time and have found him to be spot on. And he's absolutely 180 degrees, well, he's 90 degrees out of sync with the mainstream media. And he was a CIA analyst and a special operations instructor for 24 years. And he just has great credentials. I really like him so. But Americans don't know a damn thing about the CSTO, which it's an acronym for Collective Security Treaty Organization. And it's a group, it's very much like NATO, but it maybe not as large, but it is made up of some of the old former Russian Soviet states. You got Belarus, you got Armenia, you got Kazakhstan, you got Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, you got Uzbekistan, and of course Russia. And they have a collective mutual defense alliance. Just like NATO, you attack one of us and you've attacked us all. So if Russia takes a position like on the bridge that's just blown up, which has really set them off, obviously, and going to cost the Ukrainians dearly. If there is retaliation for that, and Belarus, of course, is right on the border there with Ukraine. You have a situation where they all are supposed to come in and help you defend it. Now they certainly aren't NATO, but they are a very formidable little force, and they're all right there. I mean, it's really not hard for them to drive their trucks over. Unlike NATO, which got to fly plane Norway, Sweden, you got to bring people, thousands of miles, and you have a supply line problem, and you have logistics, and you have all that sort of thing. But he's spot on with that, I think. And I haven't heard anybody mention that. But legally, under the CSTO, if it really gets to that point, Putin can say, "Boys, I've been attacked. Come help me out." And I don't know who all will come to the fore. Maybe not all of them, but some of them will.
Yeah, it's could be a very dangerous situation that continues to pop off this winter. Let us hope cooler heads will prevail and peace can break out in the region so that people can stop killing people and stop sending poor people's kids to deal with rich old people's ideas for how the world should be. I appreciate your time, Sir Owen. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, David. Thank you for having me.